Hey YouTube, Marco here, the Bob Ross of ESO. I was talking to a good friend in the game who loves playing his Warden. What do you love about it, I asked. 2 words, he said. Da bear. Now I've heard this a bunch. That big old bear guardian is a favorite of many players, and it got me thinking. If one bear is good, what about making a build that's loaded with bears? Thus, the 5-bear Warden was conceived. I'm going for more creative, more unheard-of builds now that everything under the sun has already been done. This is a Stamina Warden setup. It can be played either as a 1-bar or a 2-bar build. It's amazingly versatile. You can be a ranged DPS with the front bar bow, or melee, up close and personal with the greatsword on the back bar. There are 3 attacking bears causing damage to your foes. Trust me, this is a build that you've never seen before. If you love this kind of out-of-the-box creative ESO gameplay, please like and subscribe and maybe leave me a comment. Every little bit helps, and I want to bring more fun and help more players in our game, which just celebrated a decade online. Let's get to that build. Attributes are 54 stamina, 5 magicka, and 5 health. The Mundus Spoon is the thief for the extra critical strike. And the food is Bewitched Sugar Skulls for all 3 buffs. I'm a Khajiit, but Dark Elf and Orc are also excellent race choices. Okay, on to the gear. And here is where we get bear number 1. We're using the Selene monster set. The head drops from Selene herself in Veterans Selene's Web. It's a dungeon. And the shoulder is from Glyrion, the Redbeard, at any of the Undaunted enclaves. Now if you can, try to get heavy sets. Divine trait on both of them, and health enchants. So with Selene, 1 item adds weapon and spell, and the 2nd item procs a primal spirit bear that mauls the enemy for between 6,000 and 7,500 damage, and it can proc every 6 seconds. Now set number 2 is craftable Order's Wrath. The weapons and jewelry are very easy to make. A bow for the front bar, precise trait, weapon damage enchant, a greatsword on the back bar, precise trait again, but the fiery weapon enchant because I like that flaming sword thing that it does. On the jewelry, I use the multi-effect enchantment, so the prismatic defense glyph, which can be pricey, so you don't need it, but it's great. And I have the bloodthirsty trait on all 3 of the jewelry pieces. So items 2, 3, and 4 of Order's Wrath add crit chance, and the 5th piece of Order's Wrath gives 8% critical damage and healing. It's a really awesome set. The body armor is a set called Mark of the Pariah. It's an overland set from Wrothgar. Very easy for you to farm, and as you'll soon find out, you'll be spending time in Wrothgar. 2 items adds health, and 3 and 4 both add armor, and the 5th item increases physical and spell resistance by 10,200 based on your missing health. So Pariah is our defensive set, and Order's Wrath and Selene are both offensive. Now let's take a look at our skills and get bear number 2 and bear number 3. The front bar is our bow. First skill, Subterranean Assault. This is a staple skill on ranged wardens. 6,300 poison damage, then 3 seconds later jumps up and does another 6,300 damage. The second skill, Poison Injection. 3,000 damage immediately, then another 9,500 poison damage over 20 seconds, and you double that if enemies are at low health. Third, Magnum Shot. This is a bit of a flex spot. It does 4,400 damage and knocks the enemy back 8 meters, which cracks me up. It's fun to knock enemies off bridges and cliffs, but you can use this slot for whatever you want. The 4th is the Healing Burst, a scribed spell. It heals for 6,300, then another 4,300 over 10 seconds, and gives minor resolve and some physical and spell resistance. Again, a flex spot if you don't think you're going to be needing the heals. 5th is our 2nd bear. Now obviously you need to have a bear slotted as your mount. The spell is the scribe spell Magical Trample. The bear shoots forward, causing 6,800 damage to all enemies in its path, and it deals another 5,600 damage over 20 seconds. It gives us major brutality and sorcery. It increases weapon and spell damage by 20%. So it's a really cool scribed spell. The ultimate on both front and back bar is our Eternal Guardian, bear number 3. He will do 1,500 damage with a chance of doing 5,700 damage and stunning. And you can reactivate him, causing 8,500 damage and 150% more damage to enemies at 25% health or less. He can respawn once every minute. Here are the recipes to scribe those two spells. Healing Burst is Soul Burst, Healing, Sage's Remedy, and Resolve. Magical Trample is Trample, Magic Damage, Lingering Torment, and Brutality and Sorcery. Now feel free to tweak these spells slightly. For instance, using the Class Mastery adds some interesting elements. It's up to you. Alrighty, the back bar. And don't worry, we're almost done, so bear with me. First, Executioner. It does 3,300 bleed damage and 385% more if enemies are under 50%. The second slot, Dizzying Swing. It does 7,700 damage and sets the enemy off balance. Third, Critical Rush. You launch across the earth, dealing 4,000 damage, dealing up to 50% more based on the distance that you travel. It's always a critical strike. This is another fun ability and a gap closer. Fourth is Carve. This causes 4,600 bleed damage and another 8,400 bleed over time, which lasts for 12 seconds. This also gives us a damage shield of 4,500. Fifth is again our Bear Trample spell, and the ultimate again is our Bear Guardian. Those are the skills. Okay, let's talk passives. Passives, you want all of your racials, you want all of your two-handed passives, and all of your bow passives. Now, I'm not even finished earning all of my two-handed passives and upgrades, but I really wanted to share this build with you guys. So this build is only going to get better with time. Champion points now. In the blue Warfare tree, slot Deadly Aim, Weapons Expert, Thaumaturge, Untamed Aggression. In the red Fitness tree, slot Boundless Vitality, Fortified, Bloody Renewal, and Rejuvenation. The fourth bear is a non-combat pet, the Cave Bear Cub. He's available for purchase and sometimes as a promotion or during an event. There are various bear mounts under Ursines. I'm using the Harrowstorm Bear. I also have the Shoal Bear. I didn't buy either of them, so I must have got them through promo or an event. There are usually bear mounts in the Crown Store too. My bear costume is purely cosmetic, but it gives us our fifth and final bear. I'm not going to lie to you here. Getting that costume is in itself a bear, but it's not unpleasant. It's just very, very time consuming, which is why you won't find too many players sporting this look. You actually get 3 bear costumes: the Cavalier of the Sworn Oath, the Old Orsinium Sentry, and Trinimax Pentient Knight. These are given as rewards from the House of Orsimir Glories after you become the Hero of Wrothgar. Now, becoming the Hero of Wrothgar has many steps. They are: collect all 20 relics from the museum known as the House of Orsimir Glories. You get the initial quest from this NPC inside the museum. You need to complete all the zone story quests in Wrothgar, which has 13 parts. You need to kill all of the bosses in the 2 public dungeons, Rickendelf and Old Orsinium. And these dungeons are designed with many internal zones. There are a total of 9 bosses. You need to kill 4 of the 6 world bosses in the Wrothgar Overland. I know. You need to discover and kill all 6 delve bosses. And finally, You need to complete a total of 40 quests in Wrothgar. Now luckily this can be done among several characters, so in theory you could just do the zone quests on 4 characters and that would give you your 40. So yeah, to get the costume's going to take you a few days of questing. And please use an online guide to find all those museum pieces because they barely glow. Get it? And they're in odd places, sometimes right next to world bosses. This brings us to the close of my 5-bear stamina warden build. I'm sorry if this video is unbearably long, but you must admit, it's unique and it's an extremely fun build to play. As always, I'm Marco. Have fun storming the castle, give other players a nice big bear hug, and keep exploring.